Welcome to the wrongly branded. Yeah, there we fixed it. I still had the Home Lab Show logo at the top there. Vlog Thursday number 369. Bitlocker bypass. Bitwarden Passkeys. Some news, Home Lab, tech, and live Q&A. This is a little bit shorter because I have a lot going on, which is why I did this earlier. But hey, let me catch up with the comments real quick. Good morning, Tom. You and Jason organized the naming scheme for your clients. I will be talking about both of these things soon. Well, not the naming scheme, I should say. The naming scheme is if we have the option to, we name things for clients. You know, I go with very practical names. The problem is a lot of people do not. This comes up way too much. Name things what they are. You're trying to come up with like, let's use planets and let's use star systems. Let's use all the ships from the different Star Trek series I like, or Star Wars series you like. And that just becomes convoluted very quickly. Name things based on what they are is the best naming scheme, but maybe that is worthy of a video because the question does come up a lot. But yes, Netdata offering a home lab is awesome. Oh, look, that thumbnail photo of the TPM sniffer tool. I guess you watched the video too. Always use BitLocker plus Plen. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in just a moment here. Hello from many places: Spain, Ireland, Arizona. Hi, all from Sweden. Awesome. I figured this will get me some people in the European areas because, you know, the whole discussion, the time zone thing. But this right here, BitLocker bypasses pure FUD. Yes. You know, I seen it going around and I figured this is a great place to start. I put it at the front because I just wanted to address it. I don't know that it needs a counter video. Maybe it does. I don't know. Here's the thing. The BitLocker, not Bitwarden, the bypass is really interesting because it was so well presented. Like it's a good understanding of how TPM works. I think that's important. I think they did a great job presenting this information. But let's dive into my response I did on it. And a few things. The images from this video. This is my LinkedIn post. I shared this to people on Twitter, but Twitter's, I don't know, hit and miss on things. We have a good video that walks through. We'll just give people who don't know what's going on in the context here. They're talking about the ability to grab this data that is flowing. And hey, this is solid engineering of how to get to the chip. So to say they can break it in this incredible, amount of time means all the prep work was done. And they know where the pins are for this laptop. So yes, this attack works very fast with a device for this model laptop, for this model. That's an important thing I want to highlight here. And this is good engineering, how to sync this without a clock chip, how you can pull all the data out, figure this all out. Like I love the presentation. This is really good. This is a good learning experience to understand how this works. And this person made a Raspberry Pi Pico device that can pull this data off the pins. All of that is actually really good, solid research, but it's also not groundbreaking. It's well presented. And let me present you with this. A hijacker's guide to communication interfaces on trusted platforms, published all the way back in 2013, March of 2013. So we've known about this method for 10 years. The reason why this is so exciting is because the video is popular and well presented. And that's all I had posted on LinkedIn was going, this is not a new attack. This is a well presented attack because, I mean, granted, this has some really nice pretty write-ups. You can get a PDF of it, and I'll give people a link to this if they want it. It's right here. So, I mean, it's cool, and it walks you through all the things this person did. So the research is out there, but this is why we suggest if this is in your threat model, this is the important part. Should everybody do this? What's in your threat model? That's the important thing. If your threat model is, I'm really worried about a sophisticated person, not just some average thief, taking my laptop and pulling all of the data off of my laptop, I should probably not just rely on BitLocker, but also rely on some type of BitLocker plus PIN. If this is in your threat model, it's not in everybody's threat model. So it's not like I'm telling everyone to go do it, but if this is a concern, these are the steps you can do to mitigate this. So we know how to mitigate this. It's less groundbreaking. It is interesting. I think it's a good learning. So I actually would recommend people watch the video. Check it out. It's not a bad video at all. And I will share my LinkedIn post for anyone that wants it. That's dropped in here too. You can actually read my write-up on LinkedIn where I just reiterated all the things I just said to you here in the video. But it does have the link to the video and a link to this document as well if you want to read through all the details. Good security research from 2013, good presentation and security research here in 2024. So I got no complaints about it in terms of an educational opportunity, but the sky isn't falling. Someone didn't come up with a tool that you walk up and magically wave over a system. It still requires physical access to the system. So nonetheless, I think it's really novel. Yeah. It's nice. Maybe I thought about, here's a question for my audience. Leave this in the comments down below or here in the live stream. Should I have done a video on this? Should I have done I've thought about doing some of these 5-minute explainer videos. So like, let's cut through the BS that the news that's hoping to get clicks for. Or am I now part of the problem of trying to get clicks for it? But then again, I'm not trying to get clicks. I'm just trying to tell you the truth and that you shouldn't be too worried about this. And I don't know. So maybe I should do a video on it. I don't know. I thought about doing not a shorts video, but just a short video, maybe a couple minutes long where I do this. So it's novel. So people say I should do it. Yeah. Okay. Because I mean, not everyone's this live stream is going to go longer than it already has gone longer than that whole video would be. So I have kind of like a note list of like doing some of those things. And I don't know. It's some ideas. Now on to the next topic. Oh, all right. We'll sidestep to this topic. Have you read the DDoS BS on the toothbrushes? Yes, I have. Let's read it. So let's share it. I did share it and I didn't read it because I thought it was funny. I just wanted to make puns. Finding out it was fake, I get to make more puns. So I got double use out of this. If you want to know what this image is, it says it's a toothbrush and says, I want to believe. Obviously a play on the, people doing it. So if you don't follow me on Twitter, or I try to post on Mastodon, and it broke. I had a synchronization between Twitter and Mastodon that broke somewhere along the lines. But anyways, after brushing up on the facts, it turned out the story about smart toothbrushes being used in DDoS attack was flossified information. You like that? The root of the problem is the story was just too plausible not to share. So yes, that is what happened. People who are sharing this, I'll share a link to my tweet for any of you that want to enjoy the puns while I was brushing up on the facts. Yeah, it's absolutely. People get excited about it. I actually almost think this still could happen. I'm not going to lie. This seems like the most dumb, but properly dumb thing that could happen in InfoSec. So there you have it, folks. I post this on LinkedIn as well. I probably post a lot more on LinkedIn than Twitter for anyone that wants to follow me on LinkedIn. Nonetheless. Oh, if only they had used Floss software. Nailed it. I love that. I mean, thank you very much. I owe you for that one. But was it built on Floss? That's the real question we have about a toothbrush. Any proper toothbrush should really be based on Floss. All right. Now let's jump right over to the other answer here. Well, other topic, not answer. I guess it's an answer to the topic. And I'm going to do a video on this. It's rolling out. I am definitely mixed on how I feel about passkeys. I think they're a good step forward. I don't think they're the end-all solution to all of your problems. That's my feeling on it. I don't like when people overhype a technology as if it's the solution, the end of passwords. I've seen the marketing people wearing me out on this one of, are you still archaic and using a password for something? Yeah, I am. Because one of the problems with storing passkeys is you change the attack surface. Now I'm a big fan, and let me pull this up real quick. I'm going to pull it out. Whoops, almost dropped it. Look, I have a YubiKey. These are fun. I've done videos on these. I think these are great. I have it stuck where it's very accessible, and I like things stored in my YubiKey because it requires, if you want to use something I've stored in my YubiKey, it requires you to have that YubiKey. And that YubiKey is not the only factor of authentication, it is a secondary factor of authentication. And I think that's great because I do have my TOTP on my phone. So, right here, the TOTP on my phone is great. I don't have Bitwarden on my phone purposely because if my TOTP is stored here, I don't want my passwords here. I always keep my passwords separate from my TOTP. Maybe I'm a little bit extreme, but nature of what I do. I have to secure companies and I don't want me to ever be the reason they're not secure. So I sacrifice some of my convenience for this. This is trade-offs I have. That being said, my TOTP is on my phone. The passwords are in Bitwarden, but I can also now store passkeys in Bitwarden. And I think this is cool. I think this is great for average people. This is where I kind of fall on the whole passkey things. I don't think they're the ultimate cybersecurity solution for, everything. But that being said, the passkeys being able to not only store in Bitwarden, but then sync between your Bitwarden instances is nice. It is definitely a convenience. But those companies that would implement passkeys as your one-click login, I'm kind of mixed on. I don't know that anything that is high security should be one-click login with a passkey. And the reason why is because it is synchronized in my Bitwarden. So if you get access to my Bitwarden, you're not using two-factor. If you somehow, some way, get access to it. And obviously, this is where the threat actors, as we level up the security and we move where that target is, the target now would be a password manager. So if that password manager is the target that the threat actors are after, where the information is stored, if they get into your Bitwarden, well, now they have that same one-click level access because the passkeys are stored in your Bitwarden. I don't think it's bad that they're stored in Bitwarden. It's kind of convenient. And matter of fact, I've done a video before talking about the threat modeling of what do I store or when do I store my TOTP, my second factor of authentication in my Bitwarden. And some people are going to go on the talk of never. And I just kind of talked about being secure. There is a time when I do store things in there. I have a handful of forums. There's the easy example. Not my forums because I have to be the admin on those forums, but forums I'm not an admin on. Forums that it's just me posting some questions. Any random personal forum, especially, they all have two-factor on them. Many of them do, which is great. And I don't feel like setting up a two-factor for every forum. So I store those in my Bitwarden. That does put me at risk. That a motorcycle forum that I belong to, where I have my two-factor stored within Bitwarden. If someone gets in my Bitwarden, they could possibly get into my motorcycle forum and pretend to be me. It's low risk. It's worth it to keep it in Bitwarden, and I'm fine with that as an answer. And if someone gets in my Bitwarden, my worries are not about my motorcycle personal forums that I belong to. Therefore, I think it's a good upgrade. Now, passkey is not the same as your standard TOTP. Passkeys is a better password, but should never replace a second factor. This is the important thing on there. That yes, passkeys, because they're based on the standards of FIDO and because of the way they're encrypted, the way they're stored, they are great. There's no time syncing issues like you have with TOTP. So I think they're great. I think they're a good second factor of storage and are going to be superior than TOTP, but storing them inside your Bitwarden where your username and password for that same website is stored doesn't really seem, it's better, but it's not just something to think about here. I still prefer, because my username and password is stored in Bitwarden, I still prefer my FIDO stuff to be stored on a physical hardware key because anytime I can use the hardware key, I love it because I actually have more than one of them, and a good website, a well done website. This is actually something that I remember going to and reading. I was reading through the FIDO standard at a talk at one of the FIDOs. I think it was the RSA talk they gave. I thought something was interesting on there. One of the regrets they had from the design standard was now they gave the option, but did not require this. You can store multiple of these hardware token keys in a web store. Awesome. But very few companies seem to implement this. Now, the advantage of doing it, of course, is I can have more than one key. Maybe I have one key in one computer, another key in another computer. And I think that's great. It's just being able to register more than one key makes sense to me. But some of these places are like, no, we're only going to give you a slot for one key. And I'm like, why? They're from a compute cost standpoint or a storage standpoint, there's not much it takes to store the extra keys. And I kind of like being able to have a backup key to be able to get into things. But nonetheless, I'm glad Bitwarden's rolling it out. I'm glad it synchronizes between devices. One thing is worth noting, and let me throw the share back up. As of right now, this is down at the bottom. Will passkeys be included with a clone of your vault item? No, Bitwarden will not copy a passkey when doing a clone action. Our stored passkeys included in Bitwarden imports experts. Passkeys imports experts will be included in a future release. I thought that was kind of interesting that currently you can't import them and export them. Passkey support for mobile application is planned in a future release. So there's still a couple features not ready yet. And, that's interesting, but yeah. Why do websites with a passkey authentication still keep the regular password login? Really simple. And the reality is Bitwarden, for example, how they said they can't import and export this. This is one of the challenges you're going to run into. If it can't be imported or exported, if I decided I don't want to use Bitwarden anymore, how do I get the passkeys out? Well, now it's kind of a tedious thing. So I kind of need to have a fallback. Also, passkeys should be the second factor, not the primary factor of authentication. That's my opinion. So that kind of creates a challenge. Another one is a lot of these companies, are pushing passkeys with your phone. Cool. How do you synchronize them? With your Google account, with your Apple account? What if you didn't want to have a Google or Apple account? Now you need some other way to synchronize that data. So I get it that they kind of have a fallback, but I got to admit on the other side, the convenience of passkeys, and because passkeys are much harder, you can't just intercept them. There's not as easy as a way. Not saying there's not a way. There's a much more challenging way. I don't like when people call them unsniffable. Yeah, they're challenge response based on cryptography, but it just requires a different methodology in order to get the passkeys to work. Proxying the website is the only real way to do it. And there's not an easy way to do that. It actually is good for spoofing, but so is Bitwarden at that. And what I mean by good for getting away from spoofing is Bitwarden will only fill in a site that matches. So if someone sets up a fake login page for another site that looks like the other site, the URL won't match at the top. Now, they may be typo squatting instead of, paypal.com. It's some other letter that looks like paypal.com. A lot of typo squatting on websites gets people to put their username and password in, but your password managers won't fill in the wrong website. So that becomes very challenging. The other attack it does help prevent is when someone tries to maybe embed a site within a site. That's not something that passkeys, to my knowledge, there's any way to do. So there are some definite advantages of having that, which I think is good. I mean, those are still important factors on there. What else? There was someone else had a key about firewalls. That's all my rant about passkeys and that. I don't have a ton of times. I have another meeting coming up in a little bit today. What time is my next meeting? Make sure I got everything timed properly. Yes. Oh, hey, my meeting canceled. That's interesting. Well, good. I don't know. Good. It was someone who wanted to talk to me. I guess the second time they canceled the meeting. But someone had a question I don't understand, and I don't know if anyone answered. 3FA is the future. Check out my studio tour. All the details of the lenses and stuff is in there. Or if you click the links, here, I'll throw this in the chat. If you go to kit.co/Lawrence Systems, you can find all the things I'm using. Yeah, so kit.co/Lawrence Systems. And I have all the different things for a lot of the builds I have are all in here. For anyone's interesting, random stuff. The Lawrence Systems Studio parts list. Oh, I got to change this. Hey, this reminds me, I got to change it to the 2024 edition. So add video from YouTube. We'll do that. You guys can watch me do this in real time. Let's fix it. What is my studio tour? There we go. Paste. Add. There we go. Now it says 2020. I actually kept the thumbnail the same. I figure it's 2 years old. Who cares if I reuse the thumbnail? There we go. Nope, I have not switched to Kea DHCP. It's missing features, and so I didn't switch to it. This was a discussion in my forums just the other day. Someone's like, "Well, how do you solve this problem?" I'm like, "I didn't switch to it." They're like, "Oh," I'm like, "You don't have to." I tested it, and I happen to need the features that are in the current one, so I'm going to have to wait till they add those features back. It had a problem with the NTP servers, and without being able to use the NTP servers, I can't use it. So that's it. I don't know if it's in there. So it looks like OpenSense. I know it's in pfSense, but I just looked. Yes, it appears that they're bundling it in both OpenSense and pfSense. I use pfSense, but it looks like it's bundled in OpenSense as well. Thoughts on UniFi versus Omada? No, UniFi is definitely far superior to Omada. You know, nothing really. The problem with Lab, let's just say it that we did some consulting, and I feel like any of the Omada stuff was just way buggier. We had some weird buggy problems. I need to make a list of all we don't have that many consulting jobs we did with it. We did enough of them though, that my technicians are like, yeah, this Omada stuff is buggy. Is it cheap? Yeah. Does it work once you get it unbugged? Yes. Do I trust Omada security? Not at all. Basically Omada just copied UniFi as best they can, which is fine. Gets the job done. They made it a little bit cheaper. Awesome for people who are looking for a little bit cheaper, but I don't think they copied the quality of UniFi. And there's already people who are going to be laughing that I said quality of UniFi, because people are like, oh, UniFi's got bugs, and it's, no solution is perfect. Clearly you haven't spent time in the Cisco and Fortinet worlds, but nonetheless, Omada is definitely a cheaper knockoff. It's cheaper, and I don't know. I tested it in my house. I didn't have a problem with it, but I have no faith in their long-term outlooks for security. I'm planning a small UniFi deployment with 10 to 15 cameras, about 6 other LAN ports. Is there any point in splitting switching capability between 2 switches? Not with that few cameras. You can run a whole lot of cameras on 1 gig. You got to get up there probably in the even it depends on, how high of a stream you're doing, but no, you don't need to split that between them. That's not with that few of cameras. Did you have issues with the web UI and TrueNet scale? Mine seems to be having some issues. Press F5 rather frequently. Otherwise, UI won't load properly. No. And are you using a proxy in front of it? I never have a problem. The UI works great. I can say confidently I have no issues with the UI itself. Matter of fact, while we're here, we can just log in real quick, because here's the UI on it, and I got it zoomed in a little bit. Let me zoom it out, but it works fine every time. I have several. I also have numerous of these, and all of them work fine. I'm excited. There's a new update that'll be here soon, because I can join the beta. I might join the beta on one of my other ones, but yes, it's soon. We will have that. I've been having issues with my UniFi AP. It's about half the line speed, even when I plug straight into the PoE Ethernet adapter or turn the channel all the way up, and AP it's better. That's why I don't do a bunch of Wi-Fi testing. There's so many factors in Wi-Fi testing. If you want speed, don't use Wi-Fi is always my answer. You always end up with a lot of problems. Matter of fact, one of the issues I've run into, and this is when I was testing the Cisco equipment. I never really finished a video on the Cisco Wi-Fi because the Cisco devices died, which I thought was funny. And I just didn't care. They have a warranty and I don't care to replace them. I just thought they were the worst experience. I did the review of the Cisco switches. Anyway, so the Cisco inexpensive Wi-Fi, the number of problems I had from one laptop model to another drove me crazy. Cisco was not much help other than some firmware updates that allegedly patched it, but didn't. You couldn't believe the speed variation. I think Chris has talked about this before on Crosstalk Solutions when he does his Wi-Fi speed testing. One handset to the other, it's like, oh, the iPhone worked really good with this model over here, but it didn't work with this model. But the Android phone is exactly the opposite. You get a better speed out of the Android phone. But then you try a Samsung phone and it works okay, but only on this model and that model. You get variations a lot between devices. That's Wi-Fi might be a standard, but it's not standardized, I guess you see. Do you know of a Linux firewall that supports rules with DNS names instead of IPs? No. Not that I could think of. I mean, there might be some hacky way to do it inside of pfSense, but I don't know. I've not had anyone request that. I don't think that's a very requested feature, which is probably why no one's really working on it. Most always we do the rules by IP. I know it can be done probably, but I don't know why I would want to do it. The only problem with TrueNAS is how eager it is to log out. Yes. We'll just leave this up while I talk, and at any moment it will have would you like to extend your session? Actually, I do need to do some updates. I know there's a new version of Netdata. Ooh, sync thing and Netdata. Let's do it live. We're just going to upgrade these. I don't use Open Media Vault. I don't plan to use it. It doesn't have the same feature support that TrueNAS has. So I'm going to go with my preferences for TrueNAS, but maybe there's people who like Unraid. I don't use Unraid and don't plan to use it. I really like TrueNAS. I like ZFS. So it works great. I'm happy with it. Yeah. I bailed on Windows for good. Awesome. Congratulations. Debian KD is running all my home computers and servers. I even have, and even having Debian, my eyes are open. Congratulations. My pfSense LAN port seems to keep losing its IP address. Like it doesn't send it. Request to renew its address, but a simple unplug and replug cable causes request. I'll assume you're not running the Netgate hardware. Me and you talked before about this, and you were definitely having some issues. I think you were getting some packet loss. Me and the Bearded IT Dad are personal friends, so we were discussing this offline. But yeah, you got to reach out to me. We'll do a session together and try and sort it out. But I think you're having some hardware problems. I don't know. Well, message me and I'll pick some hardware. I think I might even have an extra. Well, no, you want something that's, I don't know if I have an extra one that's got 2.5 gig. Is it wrong to turn up the channel width? No, not, but there's sacrifices made. You widen the channel, you get less distance because more things can do it. More things can interfere with it. Last Wi-Fi deployment did a bunch of U6 Pros. The client gets 500 phone, an entire building, which is the entire uplink. Awesome. Says to take over VMware Barcom. Are we in our company currently considering whether to use Proxmox or XCP-NG? I personally belong to XCP-NG, trying to cope with it. And I'm getting along pretty well so far, but passive limitation, apparently the problem with the German keyboard layout. Alt-GR probably has something to do with no VNC as their solution. Honestly, because I only use the US keyboard layout, I really don't know. I would post in their forums, and they probably have a solution because they're a French company, and they do obviously work with the French layouts. I don't even know how much different those layouts are, so that might be a good forum post. I just don't have an experience working with different keyboard, different language layouts for that. But I'm definitely team XCP-NG myself. Why doesn't Chrome Edge identify the Proxmox TrueNAS password autofill? Only Firefox does. That's a good question. I don't know. Wait. It actually, I'm going to say it does. I'm using Bitwarden. So let me log out. And I'm using Bitwarden here. Whoops. Somehow I locked that. Mine autofills fine with Bitwarden. This is Chrome, by the way. So it autofills for me. So I don't know the answer to that. Would you be interested in sharing comparison between Web UI on Netdata Parent and Netdata Cloud? I mean, just sign up for the Netdata Cloud, but I mean, I can log into my cloud as well. I mean, this is the Netdata Cloud. Do you know which has the most active installs, TrueNAS Core Scale? I don't know, and I don't know if there's a way to know because people don't always register them. So I don't know that there's any telemetry data for how many. There's millions of both, but I don't know where that cut is. Any news on UniFi Express? Order my place up north. Still waiting. Internet install gets first. Patiently awaiting Excel store from Vates. Yeah, I'm using Bitwarden, but you know, it should work with KeyPass as well to get that login to work. Never had time to catch you live. Thanks for taking the time. Good videos for us. Awesome. How much resources to commit to Bitwarden VM? Not a lot. It has 8 cores and 4 gigs, but it's barely using any of that. I mean, it's using it because it's there, but it doesn't need that much. So it's absolutely fast doing it like this. Back to the Netdata topic. Where did I lose that? The cloud one just lets me concentrate all these right here. Versus, you know, this is the cloud version of it. So I don't even think I have all of mine in there. Here's my Greylog server. Oh, there's my website. It's a real-time Netdata website. You know, all it does is make them all right here. But if you want to see what it looks like here, this is what Netdata looks like without the cloud. So I just did that update. This is on the TrueNAS system. I did the update, so there's a gap in it right here. This is where it was restarting to run the latest version. But yeah, they don't look that much different. They just aggregate the cloud a little different. Do you have any recommendations for a super tiny 4 by 2.5 inch NAS system? Hoping a SSD NAS. Brian Moses, look up. He's got a good write up on budget NAS. Brian Moses. I've shared it before, but I should have Brian. I've chatted. I think I've tweeted back and forth with Brian, but I'll throw a link in there. He's always got write-ups on TrueNAS stuff. If you had to pick a hardware key for a company-wide use, any specific brand to buy and avoid for non-technical staff, I think the YubiKeys are just a solid standard. One of my friends is deploying like, I don't know, if it's like 500 of them at his company. They work really well. It's a lot of cores for something static like Bitwarden. We moved to, it's not actually hosted there anymore. We had all of our employees using it. So but it never really used any power. It never was slow, so it wasn't a big deal. My company's losing decide on a logging system. We have a custom APIs. You're looking at Splunk. Anything else to check out? There's another company that eludes me at the moment. I mean, I like Graylog, so that's what, if it's just logging, I think Graylog is great. That's probably the most popular one. There's probably a couple others, but Graylog is definitely one of them I like. And they didn't pay me to say it, but I will disclose they sent me a fancy cup. I got a fancy reusable coffee cup from Graylog. So yes. Now that I got the lid on right. So I do like, I've been using Graylog for a while, and I think they make a great product. They're open source as well. From what I read, Web UI Netdata parent would display data from all children, but I haven't got around to setting it up. Check out similar to cloud. Yes. What do you think? Should FortiDry's home lab project be at HL15? I don't know. I think it's a good project. I don't know anything. I don't know what other home lab project there is. I think that's their niche, is that HL15. I don't think they have to make a big variety of them. Because the HL15 has options to be able to convert it to using like more flash storage. So I don't think there's any problem with it. What happens if a YubiKey gets lost or broken? How do you back them up? You don't back up YubiKeys. You replace them if they die, but you do not back them up. So you have to have more than one. Tom, yes, I can be bought with a fancy cup. I like logoed stuff. Graylog sent this to me for doing a video. So the video was not sponsored. I said it's an option. I'm doing the video, and if you want, you got my address. I say it in the video. I'm very clear on that. So yes, they did. They sent me a cup that says Graylog. It feels really. I just like this cup. I've only used it for water, but I still like it. I should use it. I can use it for my morning coffee. Does it log the coffee machine? Yes. Yeah, having more than one YubiKey is kind of the answer. There's also, where are they at here? I have bought a few of these. I'll throw a link out there for you. I like these devices, which are the Fido U2F passkey. These are another company that's a little bit cheaper. These are like $16 right now. These work fine. I've bought these for people. I think they work well. I haven't had any problems with it. And it's the company that makes this is part of the Fido Alliance. This is not some random company, because there's probably cheaper ones you could find by some random company. But these devices are, what's the company that makes them? TrustKey. This is right in front of me. I wasn't seeing it. Anyways, these are by TrustKey. I think these are not a bad solution either. So, well, I agree with you completely. Why do people say passwordless Fido 2 is more secure than password plus U2F? It seems that you're losing a factor. Welcome to my world of not understanding how it's just how it gets sold. My problem with Graylog is a lack of Windows ingestion. What do you mean lack of Windows? I literally have a video talking about how to pull Windows data in. So you are incorrect about its lack of Windows ingestion. I have a video on that as a topic. Let me pull up that video. I did the video, I think, last week. Because I know a lot of people were asking about it. So it is. Let me share it in here. It doesn't, the problem with Windows log ingestion is, first, Windows logs are hot garbage. And this is why I made a video on this as a topic. It doesn't do it natively, is my complaint. Not that it doesn't do it. It doesn't do it natively. This is the problem because Windows doesn't have a log export tool. That is the problem. So you can't just plug it in. You have to configure and set up Windows to do that. That's where the problem is. It's not that it can't do it. It's that it doesn't have native support because Windows doesn't have native support, not Graylog. Graylog actually is easy to set up. All the work in this video has nothing to do with Graylog and everything to do with Windows. And this is what makes this a much more complicated topic. I did that video on purpose because I couldn't do that video. I didn't want to release this video until kind of an ordering of things. I wanted to make sure you knew how to do it, but then I made mention of the fact that when you do it, the tuning you have to do, and then I have this video released. So I timed the releasing. I actually recorded this one first, which is a whole video on how to configure Sysmon. This is an hour-long video where me and Amanda Berlin dive into getting the most out of Sysmon. So this is why this is a complicated topic. I recorded this video, and after I edited it, I said, boy, people are going to know how to send this to Graylog. So I made the Graylog import video, and then immediately after released the video on getting the most out of Sysmon, because while the tools are easy to do, actually getting actionable data is way more complicated. So me and Amanda dove into threat hunting for an hour. I know not everyone wants to watch an hour-long video. So I gave you the basics pulled from the talk me and Amanda gave. Then you can get it set up. You can get it ingesting logs. It's my getting started with Graylog video is actually pretty short to get the logs out there, but the longer video on how to tune everything, well, that's a whole different topic. And that's why I wanted them to be separate videos. You have several Z-Wave items in your kit. Any concerns Z-Wave will discontinue, replaced by Matter? Maybe in 5 to 10 years it will be. I don't think there's any concern that it's going to happen fast. I think it's going to happen really long over time. So maybe it will, but not today and not tomorrow. And as long as these cheap Z-Wave devices are floating around out there, and there's as long as there's demand for them, people are going to keep making them. So I don't really see this as a big issue. So not really a big problem for me. In remodeling my house for a network closet, should I go for single drop with all the cables, install a plate for each drop, or is that just personal preference? Single drop, all the cables, install a plate for each drop. I would definitely put them on a plate. It just looks nicer. Don't just pull the wire through the wall if that's the question you're asking. So a single plate per drop, it's greatly more convenient. It's also easier because then you can just plug things into the wall. So yes, or unless your question is, should you run two? I see a lot of people say you should run more than one network cable. If you can afford it, it's definitely an advantage to do both of them. But that still comes down to personal preference. I did not run two network cables to every spot in my house. I didn't run that many network cables at all through my house. My computers are connected, but my laptops are Wi-Fi, and I just wander around in them, and speed is never an issue with the, I don't need the downloads to go faster. I need to be able to watch YouTube, because most of the time I watch YouTube. Occasionally I watch some other movie, but mostly I'm watching YouTube or something streaming. I don't require even the full Wi-Fi speed for that, so Wi-Fi works fine. I did see someone complaining on one of my videos that kind of made me laugh. They thought it was such a waste that people use patch panels. I've seen people really hate on patch panels. Like, why would you waste time with patch panels? Just run a wire to each switch. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like, we don't do those because we're bored and things like that. So, all right. Closing all the things I have open. Too many things open. Hey, look, my Home Assistant. Actually, I just noticed something that may have broke. So let me find out. This isn't good. Sync thing didn't update. It seems to be broken. Oh. So this is kind of funny. sync thing's working. So sync thing works, but TrueNAS doesn't think it's working. It thinks it's stuck in deploying. Let me try reloading the page. Oh, okay. Hey, someone talked about UI problems. There was a weird UI issue. I had to refresh the page to get it to change from deploying to running. So that's strange. I run XO container on my Synology. Is this a bottleneck if I want to back up CB home lab? Yeah, the data passes through the XO for backups. So you're going to be limited to whatever speed that is. Any difference between punch down using a coupler and a panel, feeling too lazy to punch down? Punch downs are generally going to be possibly a little better, but for the most part, no. The quality at which these connectors are made is pretty good. So I don't really think, and someone's going to be angry. I've seen completely working for years, double patched because people didn't have enough cable and they moved something and they double patched it and it still doesn't have any problems. Plug it in and test it. But anytime you add more connections, you have the potential for more problem, not necessarily a guaranteed problem. I do recommend, yeah, 2 wires is for in the attic because you do not want to have to double run them when you're running security cameras. You don't have to go in the attic a second time. You are absolutely right about that. Yeah, patch panels are smarter. I agree with you completely. I can't imagine a world without patch panels. I have seen the world without patch panels. I lived in that world. I started this career a long time ago. I'm happy that they have them now. Our RMM has its own password solution. Doesn't see any integration. Would love to get to use Bitwarden. I recommend Bitwarden. I still really like it. I don't do roller coasters. So even though Cedar Point is relatively close to me, I'm not a big roller coaster person. Oldest computer I have running doing something. I don't know. Most of my stuff's actually pretty new. I get rid of old stuff. So I don't really, I mean, I have a Raspberry Pi 3. Does that count? I don't know if that's really an old computer. It works. If you use a coupler, then you have to terminate the plug instead of using the punch down. That is such a big difference. If you use a coupler, then you have to terminate the plug. I mean, they make the plugs that are pass through. So I've seen a lot of people use those. I like it better. I will always go for the punch down myself. But if you're tedious like me and don't feel like punching them down, it's probably not that big of a deal. There's technically more electrical loss with a coupler versus punch down. That's the part I'm talking about. Technically, the wires don't connect in the same way. It is a more secure connection to use the punch. I don't know. We should probably do an amperage test. But the reality is now we're doing a test that's not even related just to prove that there could be a difference. I don't think it's the end of the world there. It's kind of personal preference. I like the idea of self-hosting Bitwarden, but you have to then add that to your things you have to maintain list. I've had no problems maintaining Bitwarden self-hosted. I think it's easy, but is it easy for you? I don't know. The biggest problem I have was when everyone just tries to go fully self-hosted is they do so at the idea that they want to save money, but then that savings, they're not calculating the fact that you have to keep these things up to date. The number of companies we dealt with a company that went through a hell of a security breach. They self-hosted everything and updated nothing. And it was part of the problem. So you got to really make sure there's a plan for that. If you can't put a plan together and assign people to update the infrastructure, it's better to have someone else host the infrastructure. Why would you need to ride that's kind of how I feel. I don't really like roller coasters. I don't know. It's been a long time, but they used to make me nauseous. So I'm all for motorcycles. The best place to find a used rack. Size doesn't really matter as long as it's cheap. Craigslist, Facebook. Look for local recycling companies. Keystones are way easier, especially with the new tools like the iPunch from Vertical Cable. Yes. Thank you, Cody from Mac Telecom Networks. And he is absolutely right about that. Take it from a guy who punches them down way more than Tom does. I don't punch down many of these. You have I have a patch panel in my house as well. Self-hosting, I feel it's more about owning and controlling your data than cost savings. Yes. Absolutely. And this is the problem. The people, like I said, the people who come at it with, I'm just looking for the cheapest way to do this, are usually not accounting for the fact that they have to maintain the infrastructure. Hello from New York. Standing waves and other signaling issues at high data rates as possible with more breaks and connections, plus number of other unknowns, easier just to avoid that's a hard word for me to say. It's just easier to avoid superfluous. Someone else can say it, connections. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. I like I said, from a professional standpoint, we're always going to run them right. We're going to run them with the proper punch down. That's how we're going to do it. What people do in their home lab because they don't want to tediously, or they're not good at punching down cables, then that's different. You don't always have access to a bunch of people who are good at punching down cables like I do. That, you don't happen to employ people who are good at punching down cables that will come over your house and help you punch down cables. I do. I get not everyone does. Superflu US. Super, yeah. Boy, that's a tongue twister for me for no particular reason. I'll work on that later. I use keystones whenever possible. I hate fighting with RJ45s, especially if it's thick shielded cable. I'll leave that to the robots. Cost benefit, it equals out. Superfluous. This is fun. Well, if when I'm putting together videos, in case you didn't know, if I can't say a word, I just avoid it. I sometimes will have the word written down and then I realize I can't say the word verbally. So I just change the word unless it's a word I have to use, and then I'll work on it. There's back end secrets of being a YouTube creator. Tom just doesn't say words he doesn't know how to say well. And sometimes I still don't know how to say the ones I use well. So have you seen issues with the U6 Pro going offline and showing failed to adopt when no adoption should be happening? Swapped out U6LR, seemed no issue. Maybe you have a bad firmware. Maybe you have a bad unit. I don't know. I don't think I've run into that personally. Each room in the house gets telecom closet punch downs and go to main telecom rack and base which is another punch down, but I have bad OCD and other punch downs. There's people who really like doing it. The people we employ like what they do, and they want to be cable people, which is fine. Awesome. And we give them lots of work. Ooh, greetings from Southgate. So you do that as well when you say words when you can't spell correctly. Yeah. I'm amazed at how bad my spelling is with ChatGPT, and it always figures it out. Because my wife was watching me use ChatGPT. She's like, "You didn't type anything right," and I'm like, "I didn't have to. It's now made me even lazier. It's the laziest version of spell check." Also, for those of you that don't know, I am located in Southgate, Michigan. That's where our office is. So, greetings from Southgate. I'm assuming you mean Southgate, Michigan. Good cabling is an art for itself. Yes. Do your clients use self-hosted Bitwarden or cloud? Sometimes users forget to put the customer URL. Is there an automatic way? All of our clients that are using Bitwarden are not self-hosted. They're all using the Bitwarden cloud. How often should UniFi access points be updated or rebooted? I don't have any scheduled reboots for them. What's I was looking and I'm trying to see if I have like my house ones real quick that I'll pull up. I don't know the last time they were, you know what? There was a firmware update recently or another firmware update. Oh, look, more firmware updates. But yeah, they generally stay running for a long time. How many days of uptime do I have right now? Does it tell me uplink, downlink experience? Oh, here we go. So currently I'm at 52 days of uptime on mine. It works fine. No issues here. So where's that at? Yeah, 52 days of uptime. That was the last time there's a firmware update for this one. The only time they ever seem to get rebooted is when there's firmware updates. Hello, Tom and everyone else. Appreciate being able to watch the vlog Thursday live from Sweden. Hey, welcome. I see a lot. I think there's a lot of Europe people in here. Greetings from India. How far down in my country is in the viewership demographics? I don't know, but I know I'm only 38% in the US, so it is scattered quite a bit. Less than half of the people that watch my channel are in the United States. What do I mean by missing features? You're gonna look, if you look, I think there's a list of missing features on pfSense's website, but NTP was one of them that's missing. How are you securing Bitwarden stuff also? Assume you don't make it public or a VPN. If you made it public, how would you secure it? I wouldn't make it public. If you're going to make it public, you may as well let Bitwarden deal with it. If you're going to self-host it, put it behind a VPN. Got an old consumer motherboard with a Supermicro HBA card for TrueNAS on reboot card hangs. I need to unplug things. Post recommends for actual NAS motherboards. That Brian Moses I mentioned earlier, he's got some good listings on there, but honestly, the cards you get, the different options are, let me think of them. Tell me the name of it. If you go in the TrueNAS forums, you can get a better card that doesn't have problems. If you go, there's a whole section of the TrueNAS forums called Will It TrueNAS and its hardware recommendations. Any usage of Ruckus gear? I don't use them. Some Ruckus and they're killer compared to UniFi kit. I don't really have an interest. Ruckus has a very confusing website and more confusing licensing. So I don't really bother with them. Every time I looked them up, I always found some of their pricing confusing. Their pricing was pricey. Their licenses were confusing. I have two in my house, and for some reason the clients couldn't connect until I rebooted it. But thanks for respond. Yeah, we have a lot of UniFi we deploy, and we don't really have problems with them. Have set up WireGuard or remote PC. It only connects if I ping something on my network from it. Does this need to be a permanent connection? Auto start with system D works. Yeah, there's a way you can tell. You can set a keep alive up to have it working. So you can look up like how to set keep alive in WireGuard, and that might solve your problem. Are Aruba Instant On still relevant? Well, they're still alive, but they haven't really changed much since I reviewed them like 4 or 5 years ago now. I still have a few people using them. They function, they work. I don't think they're anything amazing. They're just kind of a good basic Wi-Fi. Their dashboard is what it is. I remember they promised me, like when I first started reviewing them, oh, we're going to have so many dashboard features. We're going to get all this set up. And they never did. How do you deal with new clients in unfamiliar hardware? Maybe a client with MakerTick, but no one has any experience with it. For us, we are good at figuring it out. That's the best way I can describe it. You know, me and Jason Slagle have talked about this, and I don't know the answer. Why some people are good at figuring it out and other people absolutely struggle. And we talk about it from that perspective because we employ a bunch of people at CNWR. Some of them understand things better than others. Just the nature of it. It's not a dig at any of those people, but some people get it fluently and some people don't. We have enough of those people, and me and Jason are definitely among those people who don't have a problem grabbing some random piece of technology and figuring it out. So that's my solution. If you can't do that, it's not saying this is bad, but if you do not have a skill set that lets you figure things out, you should not take on those clients. Don't take on things you can't support. I highly recommend, if you try to learn them first. If you can't learn them, then do it. Then go, okay, I understand and I'm willing to take on this product. That is unfortunate. I hate those stupid BS posters that say an entrepreneur says yes and figures it out. That is dumb. That is often how security disasters happen. I think that's actually the root of many of the security disaster problems. Of a lot of people said, I'll just figure it out as I go. How bad could this end up being? And then we end up with a lot of bad software, or bad supported software, or misconfigured software. Any plans that can cover GNS3 or EVE-NG? No interest in it. I do everything in the physical layer, and there's so many other channels covering it. I don't think I would add any value, and I don't have an interest in doing it either. I do everything like with real hardware, so I don't really need to set it up that way. HP has no idea how to market. Yeah, HP. I know HP is separate than HP, but I think the stink of HP rubs off on HP Enterprise. Any thoughts on the UniFi product support plan? $200 a month sounds like a lot. I don't. We charge $200 an hour for UniFi support, so I don't know. We have a lot of bookings. A lot of people contract us, but I mean, if you set it up right, it doesn't need a lot of support. People who can self-train using your time figure it out hardware. If you're book smart, then you tend to struggle with it. Yeah. Please fake it till you make it drives me nuts in the tech world. Yeah, granted, there's some people get imposter syndrome and they actually know how to do it and they struggle with that. And I completely empathize with that. But some people who are just, I've met plenty of these people in my 25-year career, or no, more than that. I started in 1995, so I'm scared to say it, but I'm pushing 30 years in the career. Anyways, there's some people who are overly confident and we still to this day are cleaning up disasters. We take over a client. We're like, who set this up? And they're like, oh, the other IT person. I'm like, they had no idea what they were doing. We have dealt with breaches and security problems, and sometimes the root cause of it, they just didn't know how to set any of this up properly. And it's kind of scary. It's definitely where a lot of these problems are. Then it comes down to how you build your knowledge. Some people can memorize how to operate the system and device they need to operate, and that's enough for them. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people who, they put the blinders on that says they're not as passionate about tech. It's a job. They like it enough to work in the industry, but they learn what boxes to check, but never why to check them. They're like, when I set this device up, I check the third box down, the fourth box down. I put this digit in here. I put this digit in this box, and I click save. Why'd you put those digits here? I have no idea, but I know it works when I do it. And that's fine. There's different facets of the tech world, depending on where you want to be. So yeah, it takes all kinds. I got no hate for anyone who doesn't want to do any of that. Matter of fact, sometimes tech is a means, like understanding networking. People don't want to really learn networking. They sometimes just want networking to work so they can work on the thing they want to work on. So there's a lot of that goes on, which is fine. Some people go, I just need to get this part sorted out because my real passion is writing software. And spending all day playing with network switches and VLANs is uninteresting to those who may want to write software. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You kind of got to decide where you want to go with it. I don't like writing software. I like using software, but I'm not a big coder myself. So I'm on the opposite end of that, which of course, people who write software all day, but Tom, you're not writing things in assembly language. I mean, come on, playing with things at the register level is so much more fun than plugging networks in. You had a video a long time ago about installing a UDM in your daughter's place, I think, or for someone. Yes, it was. I'm finding Wi-Fi not to be that great. Did you get any complaints? No, she's still using the original Dream Machine. The Dream Tube, the cylinder one. My daughter still has that. It was installed in her apartment, and now it is installed in her house. I think Dad should probably upgrade it because that thing is old, but she plays video games all day. She has no complaints at all. Yeah, she bought her first house 2 years ago now. I think she's lived there 2 years, but she doesn't have any Wi-Fi complaints. Yes, under promise, over deliver is a good mantra for technical jobs. Yes, definitely where we are. We take every job on with caution. We have a solutions design meeting. We make sure we can do the thing we do. Our salespeople are forced to bring solutions to our technical people to make sure there's an alignment. We have a process. That process does take a little bit more time, but we give you really good solutions that way, as opposed to half-baked ideas. There's an important cadence to the process. If I come up against something we never work with, I spent a couple nights reading the manual before I have front. Yep. Always tried to understand underlying principles behind stuff. Absolutely. I'm still dragging my UDM along, but they have 2.5 gig service now, so I think it's time to make a change. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's been a pretty trouble-free device. It still works. My daughter doesn't have any extra Wi-Fi. I think it's because she only uses it. She's got a gaming room at her house and her living room. So she has TV in her living room. She uses Wi-Fi and the gaming room. And I think those are the only two rooms that they care about the Wi-Fi. And the Wi-Fi is in the gaming room. So there's that. I am winding this down, but I do have. I'm trying to see if I thought I had a picture of that. Well, maybe not. Oh, there we go. I can share this, because I was just over there, and the cats don't mind the Wi-Fi at all. That's, in case anyone's wondering. There's me and my daughter, and she got a new kitty. So I just feel like sharing a cat because the internet loves cats. So she was, when I was over there just the other day, I took a picture and I asked her about her Wi-Fi, and it's working fine. So I may do an updated video on it, because I think it's worth saying, like, 5 years of working, and it, I think it was 2019 when I installed the Wi-Fi for her. So it's now moved from her apartment to there, and it still works. and her new cat is really cute. Oh, let's see. 4 Raspberry Pi 4 sitting here not in use other than password management. Any fun ideas? Well, go where your curiosity takes you. Build a cluster of something. Play with Kubernetes. Might be kind of a fun thing to play with a bunch of Raspberry Pis. Yeah, they have a new one called the Swiss Army Knife Ultra. I haven't kept up with all the latest models. I need to kind of look into them a little bit more. The Wi-Fi works so well over Cat 1. Yes. I'm just laughing because my daughter put the cat in a sweater. I mean, the cat likes the sweater, so there's that. Fun times. All right, well, I'm going to wind this down. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Even though my meeting canceled, which allowed me to go all the way till now, I still have a few things I got to do today. I have some videos I want to work on and all that fun stuff. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Leave some comments. Leave some, whatever you want on here. Well, not whatever you want. Leave things that are tech relevant. Join my forum. Sign up for my newsletter. All those fun things. That is definitely been going well with the newsletter. I got a lot of you signed up. I imagine a lot of you are on there. I've been taking feedback on the newsletter of what you'd like to see more of or less of. Someone actually suggested, I don't think it's a bad idea to put the videos in there at the bottom and the news articles I share at the top. But hey, hit me up. Let me know. Forums.lawrencesystems.com is a great place to connect with me. lawrencesystems.com, you'll find links to all the socials wherever you want to find me. And thanks.